story time. A friend of mine asked me to give my recommendation of storybooks, of favorite picture books for kids, say below the age of 7 or 8. And what would I choose if I had to recommend? Well, it's a bit like choosing your favorite dog. It's Captain. But I do have it. It was such a joy to get my children involved and say what would be our absolute favorites. Well, it was impossible to make it 10 of them, but I have some that I want to share with you today. I'll make another little video about specifically stories from our region in Southern Africa that would inspire and what your kids would enjoy, and then perhaps another for slightly older kids. But for today, let's just start right at the only place to start for children's books, and that is with The Very Hungry Caterpillar. I won't read it, I wish I could, but here I could just see little fat baby fingers sticking in there. So don't wait until babies are 4. Read picture books over and over and over. Eric Carle is a classic for all the right reasons. A beautiful story, colors, feelings, shape, counting, repetition. This is what picture books are, at least in part, about. Charles Fugue writes this book called I Know a Rhino, and you can see it is so previously so loved in our house that it doesn't even have a cover. I'll share the cover for you so you can find it. It is beautiful. I know a rhino and we like to take tea. I have 2 sugars, but Rhino has 3. Beautiful story of a little girl whose animals are so real, who spends her time with these beautiful, larger than life characters. Guess How Much I Love You by Sam McBratney is a classic as well. I thought it would be a good place to start. It is the original I Love You to the Moon and Back. Beautifully, poetically, peacefully told. The kind of bedtime story that calms the place right down to beautiful language and beautiful pictures. Then I love Yellowbird Black Spider. It's by Dosh and Mike Archer, and it's naughty and good in all the good ways. The Yellowbird is an individual with character and heart who strums his guitar and likes vanilla ice cream, and he meets a spider who is a conformist, who tells him that birds aren't supposed to do things like that, that he should just eat squelchy worms. And the yellow bird informs him that in fact he likes to eat spiders. It's a great book with just comic timing that is just delicious every time. And this is what's such a joy with picture books, is that the words are so carefully chosen to be delivered just beautifully in just the right place, which makes it poetry and art in the same 10 minutes. Sleep Tight Little Bear is a beautiful story by Martin Waddell and illustrated by Barbara Firth. I can still hear a good friend of ours, Wolfram Bungo's deep voice reading the voice of the daddy bear as Little Bear decides to go out on his own and build his own little cave in the mountains. He only makes it till supper time, but it's a story of independence and of parents allowing such bold exploration from their children. Emily Gravett is a fabulous author, illustrator, and The Odd Egg is a beautiful story of yet another individual, a duck who finds perhaps a gorgeous egg, and all the other birds have their eggs and they hatch just in time as expected, and Duck thinks his egg is extraordinary, is something quite special, the most beautiful egg in the whole wide world. But when the other eggs hatch, Duck's egg doesn't, and he has to wait and wait and wait, and when his egg hatches, snap, 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 snap. It is not what is expected, but it is glorious and wonderful. And of course, Duck gets to walk away proud of the unexpected that he hatched. A beautiful story of being proud of what we create. And then I think of all my favorite children's authors would have to be Mem Fox. Mem Fox is an Australian, and I was listening to her talk about 2020 and say that she thinks one of the best things that's happened to children under the age of 8 is that their parents are not trained in teaching reading. Because for Mem, and I think for me, stories are the access to reading in the very best way. And just because parents don't know how, aren't trained in teaching the technicalities of learning, of phonetics, of spelling out, then actually parents should embrace that and instead deliver this delicious feast of beautiful stories to children so that children can catch language rather than being taught it. This is what makes picture books superior to early readers, because early readers are dependent on the less than 3,000 words that children can read, and that's a limited feast. It's not really a feast at all. But picture books use ambitious words with beautiful images. I heard somebody describe it as a story in 2 languages, if you will. And this is why it's such a critical thing for us to read delicious stories that our children wouldn't be able to read for themselves, but that they absolutely absorb language well above the language they're able to express or even understand, but that they understand in a beautiful story with a beautiful illustration. Of all the Mem Fox books, and we had a lot of them, Wilfred Gordon MacDonald Partridge is my favorite. Wilfred Gordon has 4 names and lives next to an old age home, and is especially fond of Miss Nancy Allison Delacourt Cooper because she has 4 names too. But then one sad day, Miss Nancy forgets her memories, and Wilfred sets out to help her remember. And he brings her beautiful treasures of their friendship. And when she receives these treasures, a warm egg, a puppet on a string, a trophy, it makes her remember things from her own past. And this small boy helps her find her memories. It's tearjerker, and it's so beautifully written, and is such a such an innocent, such a hopeful story. It catches me. It catches me every time. And after having 3 kids grow through Wilfred Gordon MacDonald Partridge, it's a surprise that it still makes me all choked up. This is one of the things I wanted to say to you is don't think that your kids outgrow storybooks. They don't, and they're not supposed to. Think instead of Sarah Mackenzie describes this from the Read Aloud Revival. She describes this so well. She says that picture books are in the center, and as we grow, we include more genres in these circles that expand. We do not outgrow picture books. My 10-year-old recently rediscovered all our picture books because, of course, now she can read them and delight in them and laugh at the jokes for herself, and it's a whole new level of understanding and of enjoyment. Don't outgrow your picture books. So there we go. Less than 10 minutes. My first introduction of books I think your cupboard must have, and that you need to get your hands on for the development of a joy and a love of stories and reading.